Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kyra here with another Diablo video. In today's video, I want to break down the differences between Diablo 4 and Diablo Immortal on how they do the gearing systems, and I'm really thinking that Diablo 4 is doing a lot of this significantly better, and I want to just show you guys some of the specifics here. A lot of this is going to be reacting to Osterberg 501, amazing video. Check out this channel if you want to stay up to date on Diablo 4 content. I think this is really awesome here, and really highlights a lot of the things that Diablo 4 is doing, and it's significantly better in my opinion than how Diablo Immortal handles this. So the first thing I wanted to highlight here is how they do the gear. So in the beginning, the base attributes are all the same, all going to be the same weapon attack. Then you look at on the attributes, that's when it actually starts to change. So you get the slow weapon, slow weapon, slow weapon, and then it's all, 7%, 6%, or 5%. Notice how they actually go down when you get to the legendary. As you go rare and legendary, they actually get worse. And then the effects here. So hit effect, 16.8% immobilized chance. Then over here, you have 11% mobilized chance, but you have 10% damage to vulnerable enemies and 8% critical strike chance. So you're getting more attributes here versus on the legendary, you're getting 21 strength, you're getting 6% overpowered chance, you're getting 9% immobilized chance, and then 10% critical hit chance. And then an extra effect, knockdown enemies take 46% additional damage from your attacks. So you're getting all of these effects here, but the actual percentages themselves are getting lower versus this 16.8% immobilized chance that you can get on the rare piece. That's interesting to me and how they're doing that, and it actually makes it to where depending on some builds, I can totally see you only caring about one specific thing, and then that's going to mean magic and rare staffs here are actually going to be useful potentially. In very niche case scenarios, if you have this hyper focused build that only cares about a couple attributes. But let's compare that to how Diablo Immortal does it. I saved some of the gear here just to make this comparison a little easier, but we have legendary, let's say an orb right here. So here's the legendary, and yes, in this game your roles can change based on exceptional or not. The exceptional roles don't apply for a magic and rare effects here, but look at the difference. This guy right here, the damage is 909, then we have 790, and then 684. So already I'm never going to equip these pieces of gear ever. Then you look at the differences here in the attributes where you have 43, you have 31 and 41, and then you also have 140. So it's just no question that you're ever going to even look at these pieces of gear here. So I just like that already off the rip on what's better. So you wouldn't even look at the attributes because just the flat damages are already way better. Whereas in this game, in D4, it looks like all of this is going to be, pretty level. It's actually gonna, you're gonna have to make there's way more customization is what I'm trying to say here because of this
on the item. But if you're looking for some single affix that is exactly what you need for your build and is going to be super strong for some specific unique build you're working on, maybe getting a magic item might actually be worth, because that single affix on the magic item is going to roll higher than any other item can possibly roll.
Yeah, exactly. So he's saying the same thing here. And I think that makes it so much more fun for the potential theory crafting, in my opinion, because you're going through here and it makes it to where, yes, these other pieces of gear are actually roll higher, but just not as much and not as many stats here. So I've never seen a game actually make it to where you can potentially justify getting one of these lower pieces of gear.
And then we have unique items, which, as mentioned, are replacing the mythic tier of items we previously went over. So just to re-go over, at this point, we now have normal items, magic items, rare items, legendary and set items, which are considered to be in the same tier, and now unique items.
And this is something that's just completely not part of Diablo Immortal in any way. Whereas in D3, you have, legendaries, and then you have primal as at least something, whereas this is something that's even further beyond that. That's just like a stat boost, whereas this is going to be, it's powerful and build specific.
We're embracing the fantasy of these build around items with completely fixed affixes, heavily thematic, and usually class specific powers and distinctive looks.
I like that idea of fixed affixes. So not only do you need to just get this super high thing that's better than legendary, but then you have to actually have it rolled. I like that the affixes are just set up that at least you can rely on this to be good, and then everything else you're going to need to grind for.
Give an example of 3 different unique items that can be obtained at level 20. And they go on to say, we still like the idea of mythic items, but we don't want to create an item quality that invalidates all others.
These are 3 different potential uniques for the same class. And then as you can see, compared to the other things that we've saw, that there's so much more going on here than the legendary piece of gear. And then notice how it's plus 13 to all stats. Then you're getting 6% melee damage, 8% critical strike damage, 5% attack speed, and then the hit effect here. When Hurricane deals damage, there's a chance to automatically cast Tornado at the target for free. I think that sounds amazing. It's significantly better than, you know, like the 4% bonus to Whirlwind or whatever, or Fury moves. So I think this is really interesting, and I like this extra level of being able to base your build around one of these pieces here. So I think that's pretty sick. And then these are all you're good here. Over here on the defensive one, on the pants, you have 46 max life, 11% elite damage to enemy reduction, 3.5% reduced potion cooldown, and then +1 rank to Hunt of the Week. So I like this too, is that there's actual rank ups to your skills. So if you didn't have Hunt of the Week, he actually gets this later in the video here when it comes to skill ups. This is actual effect that if you didn't actually put points into Hunt of the Week, you get this, you actually unlock that ability, which I think is really cool and something that Diablo Immortal doesn't really touch on at all.
At level 20. And they go on to say, we still like the idea of mythic items, but we don't want to create an item quality that invalidates all others. So they're out for now. One of the things we loved most about them was the premise of getting random legendary powers on an item, so we folded that into our baseline legendary design. So essentially, they removed mythics, re-added in the unique items like they had in Diablo 2, and this is the current system they're going with. And also looking on these unique items, they all say limit 1 equipped, and 1 is a generic item, so it doesn't have a specific class, and the other 2 are druid.
This one doesn't have the specific class like he was saying there, then these do. And don't go into specifics on how to pull these, but I think this is awesome. And then there's one more thing that's very similar to how Diablo Immortal does it, but potentially this actually could be better or worse. I'm curious what you guys think about this. So this is the part that I wanted to show. I think this is interesting on how they do the legendary essences and how they break down legendary effect and how you can apply it to things, because it is massively different on how Diablo Immortal does it, but I would say it's closer to Diablo Immortal than it is D3. So here is how it is done in Diablo Immortal. So here you just do it one time. You just break down one thing and then you're able to extract that effect on top of any legendary piece, but it always has to be specific to that type. So like, let's say it's a helm, it has to be a helm, and then you never have to worry about having it again. Then the thing that you're actually grinding for is just more stats here, better affixes, stuff like that. Whereas in this game, it looks like, notice how on the right side here, so you can take this effect. Fury skills deal 4% more damage for every second you haven't used a Fury skill, up to 24% barbarian only. Then look at how the allowed item types: one-hand weapon, two-handed weapon, but then the power increases by 66%, gloves, amulet, power increases by 33%, and then ring. I think I really like this, where you can actually decide between them, where it's not, yes, it's one effect or whatever. You could break it down from a one hand, a glove, ring, whatever. Then you get to choose where you want to put it. And I think that's going to allow for a ton of build diversity. Imagine that if we had that in Diablo Immortal, it'd be pretty awesome. And then there's the other effect here where you have to decide on if you have a two-hander or if you want it on an amulet, that effect gets stronger. Or you have to decide, okay, maybe I want it on gloves, but I want a different effect to be stronger. But the thing that I see here, though, that I'm noticing is that this looks like a consumable. So you break down the effect and you can apply it to anything, but what it looks like is this is something that you can sell on the auction house, and then also that it's going to be gone. So you're going to need to reform these skills, or potentially whatever legendary effects you end up getting, you're going to want to break them all down and you're going to just stock these up for a bit. So I wonder how many effects we got here, because I'm assuming this game's going to have an absolute ton of legendary essences here, but it's kind of a bummer that you're not going to just save it indefinitely. Maybe they'll have a system in here where you can actually break it down again and then it becomes permanent. But at the moment, it looks like this is very specific. This looks like it's just like a consumable that you're going to potentially lose. That's one thing I really like about Diablo Immortal system, is that once you got that effect, you're done. And you always never have to worry about that again. Potentially in this game, yes, you're getting the extra benefit of putting it into different slots and being able to potentially sell it. But at the same time, I would rather just not having the option of being able to sell something like this and just always, once I got that legendary essence, I'm good. So that's pretty much it on the things that I was excited about that I saw here in this video. Again, check out this guy's channel if you want to get caught up on Diablo 4. He has a ton of other videos out there. I really wanted to highlight this because I think this is really encouraging. And because it's, the same company, just different departments here, I think these effects would be amazing in Diablo Immortal and would be really encouraging to see something along these lines being added to the game. I really like this system here on being able to move effects is not necessarily based on the type. So like, let's say you get a helmet effect, but you want to put it on an orb, but then let's say like an orb on a wizard, but then I get an extra 33% effect there. You know, being able to move this stuff around and then based on where you put it, it actually gets stronger or weaker. I think that's awesome. And then having these unique effects that you don't have to worry about the attributes, I think is really cool too. So all this stuff is really encouraging for Diablo 4, but curious to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. Well, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.